After years in court, the $1.25 billion proposed redevelopment of 12 acres of San Diego's prime waterfront real estate is one step closer to being built. Developer Doug Manchester's Pacific Gateway development project for the Navy Broadway complex was approved by the California Coastal Commission last week. The commission's lawsuit was dropped after Manchester agreed to change some parking and public access for the 8-block complex of office, hotel, retail, and public space at Broadway and Harbor Drive. Here with the details on the one remaining lawsuit and possible next steps are Perry Deely, President and CEO of Deely Development and Project Executive for the Gateway Development, and KPBS reporter Allison St. John, who's been covering the story for many years. And Allison, the battle over this redevelopment area across from the Midway Museum has been going on for quite some time. Put this into context for us. How did it all start?
Okay, well, the buildings that are there now were built in 1920, which is actually when the city gave that land to the Navy and said, this is your land. And at that time, it was docks downtown. It was not the downtown that we know now. Then in the 1980s, the Congress decided to try an experiment and let the Navy go into a public-private partnership to develop this land in return for building them a new Navy regional headquarters. So they did they actually had a competition, and Doug Manchester is the developer who won that competition.
And that brings me to this question. So it's this 8 blocks that actually the Navy owns, and a lot of people do ask, you know, how is it that Doug Manchester got involved? So he won a bid, and what's the Navy getting out of it, and what's the city getting out of it? Okay,
so that was in 2006. So Doug Manchester gets to make a profit on this extremely desirable piece of land. Some would say perhaps the most desirable piece of coastal property in Southern California for 99 years. And in return, he will build a new headquarters for the Navy for free. So that is where the Navy benefits. They get themselves a new free regional headquarters right in the middle of downtown.
Okay, and let me ask you this, Perry. The Coastal Commission dropped this suit after some development concessions were made. Tell us about some of the changes that were made.
Well, first, that was a long process from when we were working with the Coastal Commission. So they were very passionate and involved with all of the visitor-serving public amenities that this project was going to yield in comparison to what's there now. Right now, there's 8 blocks of blighted property, chain link fence. There's an E, F, and G street are not connected. So it walls off really the bay from downtown. So what the Coastal Commission wanted was us to put a lot of effort into visitor-serving amenities. So we've added retail, restaurants. You know, you can go down there and get coffee. You can sit down and have an ice cream. There'll be bakeries all along Harbor Drive. We'll have outdoor public seating. So, and then we put the museum on our property, 40,000 square foot museum, right across from the Midway Aircraft Carrier Museum. So there's a compatibility, synergy. We may have a maritime museum, we may have a military, we may have a combination of museums, but that synergy is going to really enhance and reinforce the whole North Embarcadero.
Okay, let me ask you this, because the Navy Broadway Complex Coalition, it's a group that opposes the project, declined to comment for this interview, but they did raise concerns that the new high-rise Navy headquarters would be in the middle of these hotels, open space, and a lot of tourist activity. So how are you dealing with security concerns of, as they put it, this being the Navy headquarters being a potential terrorist target?
Well, you know, as I think it's common knowledge, you know, the World Trade Center, which was a huge travesty and tragedy in 9/11, was in a downtown urban environment, 2 office buildings that got, you know, that got exploded. We expect that the project that we're building to be vibrant, active, and the Navy building itself will be in full compliance with all of the federal regulations. Now, this is a Class A office building that we're building for the Navy. Very compatible for downtown. The people that work in that building are, they'll wear suits, there'll be a few senior officers that are in there. So it's a compatible, integrated environment that the Navy Class A office building will have, not only in our within the new master plan, but within the whole North Embarcadero.
And Ellison, what about the one remaining lawsuit? What's that about?
So the one remaining lawsuit is challenging it on the grounds that it violates the National Environmental Policy Act, that the permit was granted back in 1992, that the world has changed since then, as Perry referred to. There's been 9/11, and that it could now be a potential target, and so that it needs to be reconsidered before going ahead.
I see, and we have to end on this. We've just got about 15 seconds. If you can tell us in that amount of time what you think the redevelopment will do for San Diego.
It's going to be a huge transformation, not only for the public, for people that live and work downtown. It's going to add 3,500 construction jobs, over 3,000 permanent jobs, $15 million a year in TOT, $10 million a year in sales tax, and about another $10 million in visitor taxes. So the sales tax, the TOT, and the property tax is going to be over $35 million a year going into public coffers.
Okay, well, as this goes forward, I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot more. Perry Deely and KPBS reporter Allison St. John, thank you both.
Thank you.